America's big cities are shaping up as the major bastions of resistance to Washington, refusing to go along with the administration's policies on LGBT protections and immigration. In Los Angeles, Mayor Eric Garcetti cruised to re-election on Tuesday, and he couldn't even get through his victory speech without protesters demanding that he stop working with federal authorities.
With humility in my heart.
Which could make things pretty awkward. Because to accomplish one of his signature initiatives, Garcetti is going to need big help and big money from D.C.
This is infrastructure personified here. Mass transit.
There's a mile of brand new subway line already under Crenshaw Boulevard.
So those panels right there hold up cars and trucks going over our head, 90 feet above us.
So that's the road up there.
That's the road.
Soon there's going to be a lot more. Boring teams are working 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. Last November, residents of Los Angeles voted to raise their taxes. 71% voted for the Measure M transportation sales tax. 2 cents more for a latte, $2 more for a TV, $6 more on their cell phone bill. In total, at least $25 per year in additional taxes for each Los Angelino. The promise: less time in traffic on LA's gridlock freeways. And a massive new system of subways, light rail, and buses stretching from one side of the city to the other. For Eric Garcetti, the Democratic mayor of Los Angeles, the success of Measure M is a major win. Garcetti won his second term yesterday.
Thanks for hosting us.
The progressive mayor has 2 mandates, and juggling them can be tough. Voters want Garcetti to be critical of President Trump. And on the campaign trail, he tried to reassure them.
This country has always come from the places where we live, not from the nation's capital to where we are, but from where we are to the nation's capital.
But Garcetti is also counting on Trump to make good on his infrastructure promises. Most of the money comes from Los Angeles, but Measure M projects also include federal dollars. Joni Goheen, head of communications for Metro, told us a lack of federal funds would have a dramatic impact on Measure M. Promises made to voters in November might not be kept, and new projects would have to be put off. I asked the mayor about working with Trump.
I mean, you were hard on Trump. You called him a racist, you called him a sexist.
Yep.
Now you say the Democrats should work with him.
Well, it's my responsibility to get things for our cities, no matter who's in office. And I think that, somebody who's willing to build infrastructure, we absolutely should call him on his word and look to him as a partner.
So you can do that. You can say to a guy, I think you're a racist, please give me money for my train system.
It's my responsibility for the people of LA. I wouldn't be doing my job for the people of LA if I didn't get these subways done.
When it comes to infrastructure spending, Trump sounds like a Democrat.
To launch our national rebuilding, I will be asking Congress to approve legislation that produces a $1 trillion investment in infrastructure of the United States, financed through both public and private capital, creating millions of new jobs.
But the government is run by Republicans, who for years have tried to eliminate federal infrastructure grants in the name of lower taxes. Voters usually want expensive new projects and lower taxes. A recent Gallup poll showed that disconnect. Trump's infrastructure promise is his most popular promise in the poll. His second most popular? Lowering taxes. LA Metro CEO Phil Washington thinks Measure M could be an example of how to get infrastructure built even outside of Los Angeles County. But he says securing both local and federal dollars is needed to get those kinds of projects done.
So the idea is you go to Washington, D.C., and you say, look, our people are paying half-cent sales tax. We're really serious about this. Give us some money to help us. If they say no, can you do the project you want to do here in Los Angeles?
Well, obviously, you can't do all of them. I've always said that transportation infrastructure funding and financing is a 3-legged financing stool. It's the local money, federal dollars, and the private sector. The private sector, they want to invest in transportation infrastructure. You need all 3 of those stools for the table to do transportation infrastructure.
And do you worry that the federal leg might be a little wobbly right now?
The federal leg has been wobbly for a number of years.
Voters in LA supported Measure M and re-elected Mayor Garcetti. They've put their money where their mouths are. Now it's up to Garcetti. He needs Trump to convince reluctant Republicans in Washington that Trump's infrastructure promises are ones worth keeping. Have you talked to President Trump about this?
I have. When he was President-elect Trump, we had a conversation, and I told him about Measure M. I said, if you want to get to $1 trillion of infrastructure, you've got to do it with our cities and states. And he asked me how we could best do that. I said, the days of states coming with an empty hat in hand to Washington saying, build my big projects and pay for 100% of it, those are gone. But if you come with a hat that's half filled, Washington can top that off and be a dollar-for-dollar partner. I said, that's how you're going to be able to leverage getting a lot done in this country.
What did he say?
He said he was excited to do it. We might disagree with this administration on a bunch of stuff, on immigration, on social values, but when it comes to things that unite us, like infrastructure, we got to be Americans first and get the job done.